Hey, it's Luke at HIP, and if you've been listening to the Growortho podcast maybe for weeks, months, or in some cases years, you know that we typically interview an industry expert, whether it be someone working in the office or a consultant, or just a strategic partner for orthodontists. Well, we're going to change things up just a bit, and this year we've actually released 4 books. And so we're going to release every audiobook, basically a chapter for each episode. Listen, enjoy, and let us know what you find valuable and implement and what works well in your office. Thanks so much for supporting HIP, and we hope you enjoy all these episodes on the Practice Growth series.
Chapter 3. Implementing the 30-minute consultation. Your excuses might be legit, but they won't improve your life. Grant Cardone. In order to grow your practice, you will need to see more patients. The first question you should be asking yourself is whether your current systems can handle more new patient exams. Does increased volume mean you have to work longer hours? Will you need to hire more staff to handle the flow necessary to support growth? Is your team even ready for this, or will they get flustered, drop balls, and drive new patients away? Most of the time, when doctors hire marketing companies to increase the number of new patients, we see that they have no idea how to turn the leads into new patient consultations. The staff aren't ready for an increase in patient volume, and they remain stuck at their current practice volume. It's as if practice volume is a setting on a thermostat. When you set your thermostat to maintain the room temperature at 70 degrees, it makes adjustments to restore the preset temperature whenever the temperature moves up or down. If the room gets too cold, the heat comes on to bring the temperature back up to 70. If the room temperature rises above 70, the air conditioning turns on to bring it back down. No matter what, unless you change the preset temperature, the thermostat will keep the room at 70 degrees. You and your team, your mindset, systems, and procedures are a set point that maintains your practice volume where it is. When things slow down, you hustle to get more patient visits booked. If the days start getting a little hectic, people start to drop balls, let things slide, and the pace slows back to the set point. If you want to increase your practice volume, you need to adjust the set point of your practice. Otherwise, when you turn on the marketing to increase the volume, that thermostat will just cool things down, and you will be frustrated by the dollars you wasted on marketing for no results. If you and your team take the time to implement all the mindset shifts from the last chapter, you will be well on your way to adjusting your office set point to handle a much higher volume of patients. The chapters that follow will show you the systems and processes that you need to put in place so that your team can convert the influx of leads from marketing campaigns into new patient consultations and then to starts without leaking out or breaking the system. The first thing that we need to do is create the capacity for the inflow of new patients. We absolutely must shorten the length of a new patient consultation if we want to fit more into our day without having to work longer hours. In this chapter, I am going to show you how the nation's top 1% orthodontic practices run 30-minute consultations to provide ample capacity for new patients and growth. Here's the secret formula. 8 minutes for the records technician. 2 to 5 minutes for the doctor's consultation. 5 minutes for the TC's fee presentation. Here is the visual timeline. Here's a graphic with the title Timeline showing a series of 5 gray boxes on a black background with arrows in between them pointing from left to right. The first box, Records, is labeled 8 to 10 minutes plus intro and health history. The remaining boxes from left to right, Diagnosis, Fees, Same Day Start, and Schedule, are all labeled 5 minutes. The text HIP appears in the bottom right corner. Wait? What? That's only 15 to 30 minutes. I can already hear some of you saying, "There's no way." I also know that every great idea has been first met with great resistance. Don't worry. I'm not saying that you and your team need to try to make this a reality in your office tomorrow. Of course, you're going to need to wrap your head around the concept and get your team on board with making the changes necessary to perform a comprehensive consultation this quickly while delivering extraordinary patient care. But Luke, you said it was a 30-minute consultation. Where are the other 15 minutes? When you get each consult down like this every time, the extra 15 minutes can be used for a check-in, paperwork, the office tour, and scheduling the start date, which will hopefully take place that same day. Before we get into the specifics of how to do this, let's get Casey from Fishbein Orthodontics to walk us through how this works in their office. Keep in mind that they have multiple doctors and TCs working in 8 locations. We have 30 minutes total with each patient, so we typically schedule up to 33 or more a day. The patient will arrive, and the first step is to fill out paperwork. We always try to reduce that step by having them fill it out online before their appointment, but sometimes they don't, so that's the first step. Our records technician will grab them from the waiting room and take photos and x-rays. The records techs have about an 8-minute window to take the full records. Then, the TC will go over their health history and other important things on the paperwork while the records are being printed. Then, we ask the doctor to come in, and they typically have a 2-minute window in the room, so they're in and out pretty quickly. It's the TC doing a lot of talking after that, like going over fees and commitments. So, let's discuss this formula and some of the best practices you can implement to make it happen for your practice. First, commit to making the 60-minute consultation a thing of the past. Make sure your entire team has bought into this concept. If they're not willing to join you in this exciting process, that's okay. It's their choice. But you absolutely need the right people on your team if you want to grow. Next, realize that it is not the length of the appointment that creates patient satisfaction. A long, inefficient appointment with staff that would rather be at home binge-watching a show is a real turnoff. No amount of doctor time with nice, lengthy explanations can make up for poor customer service. Everyone on your team must be committed to wowing your patients with efficiency, competence, and kindness. Most of all, the patients will appreciate the convenience of not having to take more time off work or school. Now, let's delve into the details so you can free up time for you and your team to grow. 8-minute records. Humans find the concept of change difficult. It's hard to wrap your head around doing things differently than you're used to. That's why innovators often practice changing up the smallest things like the order in which they floss their teeth or the route they take to the office. Little practices like this can get you more accepting to a change in perspective. I'm sure if you bring this up with your records techs right now, they'll give you all sorts of reasons why it's going to be a problem, like, it takes me this long to take x-rays and photos and make sure they turn out right. Or, I like to take my time to make sure the patient knows what I'm doing and is comfortable with everything. Or, I need to make sure everything is set up in this particular way, and I can't do it any faster. This is normal. To open them up to the concept of a faster way, find an office where the techs are doing 8-minute records and ask if your staff can observe the process. Maybe you can arrange a call with their records tech so they can give your techs tips on how they could speed up their process. There are also in-office courses that teach office procedures that can be really helpful in changing your whole office's mindset really fast. Make time to train on the process. Practice with each other and time the process from start to finish. Keep running through it until you can perform all the x-rays and photos in 8 minutes or less. Doing it with another team member gives you the freedom to make mistakes and ask questions. It's okay if this takes a little time to perfect. Celebrate the improvements your team makes and keep practicing. Casey explains what Dr. Fishbein did to help his records techs eventually reach their goal time. Dr. Fishbein would secretly time our record techs and praise them whenever they got quicker. It would get better and better every time he did it, and now they're all at 8 minutes. But now they're so motivated, they even want to beat that time. They know they have another patient coming in every 15 minutes, so they want to be quick. Encourage them to try to beat their best time each week and set a bonus for every time they do. 2-minute doctor consultation. Let's take a moment to think about the real outcome that we are anticipating from this free consultation. As a doctor, it's commonplace to think it's time to discuss the clinical presentation of the patient's case and show them what's going on in their mouth from a medical standpoint. While this makes sense, it does not really serve the purpose of convincing the person to start treatment. In order for you to put your clinical skills to work and transform this person's life, they must first agree to the treatment plan and fees. We don't want too many details to affect the prospective patient's ability to make a decision on starting treatment at your practice. There is a balance between sharing medical information with the patient and reassuring them that the process is straightforward and easy. In fact, data proves that information overload will in fact cause the prospective patient to have analysis paralysis. Is this going to hurt? It sounds painful. OMG, what is class 2? That sounds serious. Wow, what if I have to have surgery to correct this? Teeth pulled? Ouch, I am not really sure what he's talking about. I might just get a second opinion. While some medical details are valid and may need to be communicated, a TC will keep these explanations very simple and focus on keeping the patient at ease. Simply put, the more they are told, the more questions that come up. They'll have to talk to their spouse, their friends, their family, and worst of all, another orthodontist. If the other office puts them at ease, reassures them that it's no problem, and in fact, it's so simple that they can get started today, guess what? You spent the marketing dollars, did all the work, got them primed and ready to take care of the problem, and the other doctor got the $5,000 to $7,000. So what is the purpose of the consultation from a purely operational point of view? It's to reassure the patient that they are in the right place with kind people who care about them and who have the competence to change the mess in their mouth into the smile they want. As the doctor, all you need to do is review the x-rays and photos the records technicians provided and relay the treatment plan to the patient in layman's terms. They know their teeth need work. What are you going to do to fix it? Braces? Invisalign? Headgear? How long will it take? 6 months? 12 months? 24 months? This really shouldn't take more than 2 minutes to do. Introduce yourself. Briefly explain the treatment plan. Redirect their attention to the TC for the fee presentation and say your farewells until next time. That's it. This is your TC's time to shine. You're only there to meet them and inspire confidence. Obviously, there will be times that may take longer, but for the most part, those are pretty few and far between. The point here is that there is a big opportunity in optimizing the process to be as efficient as possible. Casey has seen how long doctor consults can backfire, so she understands the importance of keeping it short and sweet. I think when the doctor spends 20 minutes in the exam room going super in-depth about the science of orthodontics with the patient, they end up taking all this information in, and they feel like it's a big deal, and it's something they need to go home and digest. And that's not what we want. So we try to keep every part of the process extremely simple, including the doctor's portion of the exam. I think that helps a lot with eliminating objections. Some doctors are now reviewing the records and giving the findings and recommendations to the TC to relay to the patient. They call this a TC empowerment consultation. The TC provides the treatment recommendations to the patient on the doctor's behalf and then proceeds to discussing the finances. You may be thinking that this would decrease the conversion rate because there is no connection with the doctor at all during the first visit. Would you believe that these offices actually found their conversion rate increased? My theory is that most orthodontists are much more in their element when they are chairside with patients. Meeting new people and navigating the different emotions and objections that come up is not usually their thing. The patient is inspired by the confidence of the TC. Their experience at the clinic has been top-notch so far, therefore it just makes sense that the orthodontist will be on par with their team. Listen to Dr. Ben Fishbein talk about the implementation of doctorless consults in his office at https://hip.agency/the-ultimate-TC. If you feel you won't have the time to do the comprehensive examination and treatment planning that the patient needs to receive a high standard of care, consider this. Once the patient is committed to the process and put their financial concerns behind them, you can focus completely on the examination and treatment plan, knowing that your time has already been paid for. You will have a couple of years to get to know that patient and build a rapport. It doesn't have to take place during a time-sensitive exam that your TC is more than capable of handling on their own. Put your trust in them. They know what to do to get your patients in the chair. 5-minute fee presentation. At the end of the day, The only reason that the patient has taken you up on the offer for a free consultation is to find out the cost of straightening their teeth. The fee presentation is the most important part of the consultation for conversion. They already know that their teeth are crooked since they see them every day. People are always interested to learn about procedures that will improve the way they look, but their guards go up when it comes to discussing the actual cost. Fees will always be the number one objection to starting. A $5,000 to $7,000 decision for most people is outside of their comfort zone. However, if their crooked teeth are affecting their confidence, moving forward with treatment is the best decision they can make. It is your duty to provide them with the means to say yes by making treatment financially feasible for them without it impacting their day-to-day living or breaking the bank. We want to make sure we can eliminate this objection from the get-go, so any discussion about fees should be presented early on in the discourse with the patient. It should begin as soon as your scheduling coordinators have their first conversation during the new patient phone call. While it would be impossible to give an exact cost to patients at this point, the scheduling coordinator should be able to pre-frame pricing by presenting what the average breakdown is. Here's an example of what your scheduling coordinators could say to pre-frame pricing. We do need to see you for an exam, which is free of charge, to be able to give you an accurate fee and treatment plan, only because the fee depends on how long the doctor says you will need to be in treatment. Some people are in treatment for 12 months, some for over 24 months. But what I can tell you is that we do have super affordable payment plans for everyone, all in-house, at 0% interest to you, no credit checks, and most people can start treatment for as little as X dollars down and monthly payments as low as X dollars per month. Could that possibly work for you? If your scheduling coordinators are pre-framing pricing like this in the initial phone call, it will ensure that your patients are kept informed and will eliminate any surprises or objections during the consultation with the TC. Teamwork is essential, so this is a crucial first step. TCs should also avoid using the big number and instead lead with one payment plan that includes a low down payment and a monthly fee structure. This is the best way to ease people's anxieties regarding fees. It has to be presented in the simplest way possible to decrease the patient's chance of needing to think about it. Through trial and error, our most successful clients have found that the fee presentation shouldn't take longer than 5 minutes and must include only one option. Casey has tried numerous approaches over the years as a TC, but she feels pretty confident with Dr. Fishbein's current fee presentation method now. Our fee presentation is pretty simple, so it takes 5 minutes every time no matter what. We only give them one fee option because we don't want them to be confused by so many options. The main obstacle will always be fees, so we have focused so much on simplifying the estimate process over the years, and it's very streamlined now. We do the same thing every single time. This typically helps eliminate any questions from the patient. We don't give any other options, so there's really nothing to be overwhelmed by, which means they won't have to go home and talk to their spouse about it. Okay, so what is the option? How do I make the presentation 5 minutes? How can it be presented simply? We will answer these questions in full detail in the following chapter. Virtual consultations. As horrible as the pandemic was over the last few years, it did help the world see that it's possible to do many things from the comfort and protection of your own home, like work, school, and even appointments. Many practices have been able to offer virtual consultations during the pandemic, and they have been so successful that a lot of practices are making them a permanent thing. Offering a virtual consultation to patients is a convenient service that can help them maximize their time so they don't have to leave work or school or even their home for multiple appointments. The process of the virtual appointment is pretty straightforward. The patient submits information and photos of their teeth from different angles to the office, and the office sends back the treatment plan and the financial option. If they are interested in starting treatment upon receiving that information, they will then schedule their in-office consultation and start on the same day. That's all that's involved. Quick, efficient, and convenient. Stacy Bagwell, the treatment coordinator from Weldman Orthodontics, and her team decided to implement virtual consultations in their practice in 2019. Here's what she had to say about its success. Our virtual consults is an evolving process. It was a DIY when we first decided to do it, but then we started using SmileSnap, which helped us streamline our work more efficiently. SmileSnap is integrated within our Slack messaging system, so any updates we receive from patients are automatically populated in the Slack channel. The patient just has to submit their photos to us using this channel, and from there, the doctor can review them and provide a customized treatment plan with a quote. If the patient agrees to move forward with treatment, we'll get them in the office and take more records on their start date. Stacy even reveals how the virtual consultations have doubled the practice's adult conversion rate. This process has worked so well for us that we've decided to make it permanent. Working professionals prefer it this way because it gets things moving quickly without booking time off from work. And our close rate is pretty good, as 50% of them are pre-qualified and are most likely to start treatment the same day they come in for their in-office consultation. Our adult conversion rate actually doubled since we began to offer virtual consultations. We are now thinking of new ways to make it even better to maximize the patient experience. If you don't use SmileSnap or Rhinogram, you can still do this by using our system, Practice Beacon, PB. PB will follow up with the patient and prompt a call with the office. If the patient submitted photos, they can expect the free quote and treatment plan later that day via the PB chat. The scheduling coordinator will then schedule the person to come in for the consult and same-day start. The remaining elements can occur when the prospect comes into the office. Ultimately, the virtual consultation is a quick way to pre-qualify patients and determine those most likely to start treatment. It will help your practice save time and allow your team to consult with patients who are interested in moving forward. This can only be achieved if it is pre-framed, like everything else, in the initial phone call with your scheduling coordinators. Virtual consultations are especially helpful if the patient can't get scheduled for an in-office consultation within 72 hours. Here's how your scheduling coordinators can present this option to patients, either by phone call or text message. If calling the patient. Option 1. You will love our virtual process. I will text or email you some easy instructions to begin. You simply answer a few questions, submit a few photos of your teeth, and we will be back in touch with all of the information you need to get started with your treatment, including fees. Option 2. Our next available appointment is date. But we can go ahead and get the process started today. We are going to text you some simple instructions. All you have to do is answer a few questions and submit a few photos of your teeth. We will get back to you later today with a free quote and our treatment plan. And our treatment coordinator can call to review the quote and next steps. How's that sound? Please note, both of these options would come after establishing the appointment and would need to be scheduled past 3 days from the time of the call. Follow-up text after the call with the patient. Hi, first name. We're so excited to help you with your orthodontic needs. Here are the angles of your teeth you need to take photos of to get started. Once I receive your photos, we will be in touch with the quote and treatment plan within an hour. P.S. I may have a few questions based on your photos. You can also use this for observation, recall, aligner checks, and retainer patients. If texting the parent of a patient. Hi, first name. Patient name. Is due for a follow-up visit with Dr. Name. Can you text us these photo angles so we can evaluate treatment virtually and see if an in-person visit is needed? If everything looks good, then we can save you a trip. If you've never heard of a virtual consultation, start thinking about implementing it in your practice ASAP. This will not only make the in-office consultations easier for your TC, but it will guarantee more serious candidates who are ready to start treatment when they walk through your doors. Are you ready to say goodbye to the 60-minute consultation? It's entirely possible to get your new patient consultation down to 30 minutes, or even shorter, with the 8-minute records, 2 to 5-minute doctor consultations, and 5-minute fee presentation formula. Dozens of the practices I work with are making great strides to transition their teams to this format. Mary Scott, the treatment coordinator at All Smiles Orthodontics, tells us how her team has made an effort to get the consultation time down to 30 minutes and the benefits it has caused. We used to have people come in for an exam, come back a few days later for all their records, and then come back 2 weeks later for the doctor to present the treatment plan. So it used to be a month-long process. We tried to shorten it, and we were a bit successful, but it's nothing like it is now. Getting everything done all within 30 minutes and having the patient able to start that same day has really helped so many families. And that's what HIP helped us learn. We were always looking at it from our perspective and not the patient's perspective. It has helped us realize that it's not always what is best for us, but what is best for the patient. Mary continues. I started working with this newly graduated doctor at our office a while back. When he first began doing consultations, he wanted to take his time going over records. He wouldn't even come into the exam without planning everything out. And I think many doctors want to do that so they can be completely thorough with the patient during the exam. With the help of HIP, the doctors realize that they don't have to treatment plan the whole thing. They just have to deliver what we know we can do and not get into all the details. It's helped us not overwhelm the families with the information they don't need. The doctors have even learned how to change their dialogue and delivery to quickly get in and out to keep that exam short and sweet. Then, on to the next all over again. Slow and steady wins the race. Don't expect to read about this today and have it all working in your office tomorrow. Every practice featured in this book who took the time and effort to bring the consultation time down from 60 minutes to 30 minutes did so by first committing to the process of change. They got their team on board, set targets, and remained consistent in training and practice. If you follow the steps I've laid out for you, this can happen in your office and make all the difference in your practice growth. In the next chapter, we'll dive deep into one of the most important strategies your TC will need to know to succeed: the 5-minute fee presentation that will up your conversion rate to between 75 and 80%.